Hello everyone. Today we're gonna do sort of like a reading vlog. We are going to see how much manga I can read in one day. Basically, my computer is at Best Buy again, at Geek Squad again. We went through this whole thing where it died, right? We had like the blue screen of death, all that kind of thing. And they ended up replacing the SSD. And then once I got it home, the fan was super, super loud, like rattling, loud jet engine type of thing. And like when they called me to tell me that they were replacing the SSD, they were like, so is your fan usually like really loud? And I'm like, no. So yeah, the fan decided to act up. Well, they told me which fan it was. We got a replacement part. It was getting, shipped here. And in the meantime, I was able to use my computer, which is fine, but like right before I ended up getting the fan part in, we had turned the computer off just to make sure I wasn't using too much power. And when I rebooted it, the fan was not working. Like I literally got an error message that was like, your video fan is not working. So I was still able to use it to do videos and things, but the fan came in and that means it was time to go take it to Best Buy. And so I did that. It took them like 3 days or so to replace it. I went back the other day. When was that? Sunday? Monday? One of those days. I went back to go pick it up and they opened it to like double check it and trackpad not working. They had to, because of the type of computer I have, it's like an Alienware M15 type of thing, they had to take out the motherboard and the daughter boards and a few other things in order to get to the fan, and then they put everything back, and the trackpad, apparently the wire is connected, but it's not working. It is showing up as like it's being acknowledged on the computer, but it's not working. So they decided to keep it for a little bit longer to try and figure that out because it was working when I took it in. So that's why we haven't had any videos in a little while, long story short. And I have decided I need to read some stuff. I have been participating in the 30 and 30 manga challenge this month and have been doing very, very well. Today is the 17th of September and I have been reading at least one manga volume every single day, and I'm currently at 22 volumes down. So I am ahead of schedule. However, it is also Magical Readathon month and I've only gotten one book down of the like 5 books on my TBR for that because I've been focusing on manga more. Like if I have time to read, I've been making sure I've been reading at least one volume of manga. I think because one of like the goals is to read 30 volumes of manga. There's like a side goal to try and read one volume of manga a day. I think I'm going to like taper off that goal and just like not worry about that as much because like I said, if I've had time to read, I've been trying to focus on one manga volume a day. So instead, what I thought I would do is maybe get like a head start on my manga stuff so that within the next week or so, I can really, really focus on my Magical Readathon TBR. So what I'm going to do today is read as much manga as I can. And I'm going to be focusing on new manga to me, things that I borrowed from my library. And so this is sort of the goal here. We'll see if this happens, but I have 3 volumes each of 3 different series that I did pick up. One is Ima Koi, one is Rainbow Days, and one is Night of the Ice, and I'm gonna like sort of just read them, see how many we can get through, and then maybe discuss what I think, if this is a series I see myself continuing, that kind of thing. And I have 3 volumes per series because I do feel like with manga being so quick to read usually, I need a little bit more than 1 volume, sometimes even 2 volumes to really tell if it's for me or not. So that's the goal. I think I'm gonna start with Ima Koi because of the fact that that was something that I borrowed from my library previously and did not get to. So Ima Koi is by Ayuko Hata, and this is about a girl named Satomi who feels like she's missing out on love and is too shy to confess her feelings. So she decides that the next time she gets a crush, she is going to tell that person. And apparently he agrees to date her. That's all we know so far. I have heard good things about this series, but again, I want to try it out. So we're gonna start with 3 volumes of this and see how it goes. Okay, so we are officially done with the first 3 volumes. Took me a couple hours, but I also did have lunch and watch Ouran High School Host Club in the middle. Yes, 3 volumes down out of 9, I think, in this series. I gave volume 1 5 stars. I gave volume 2 4 stars, and I gave volume 3 5 stars. I think we can safely say that I'm very, very intrigued by this series, very interested in this series, will definitely continue. If it keeps going the way it has been going, I will eventually want to own them on my shelves as well. But yeah, basically we have these 2 characters here where she is on a subway and has this like pervert try to like touch her, and he steps in and saves her. And because she had a previous crush in middle school that like got away because she never told him how she felt, she decided that she was never going to do that again, and she gets the courage to tell him that she does like him and wants to like learn more about him, and he is pretty much gung-ho about it. He's intrigued by her, the fact that she was bold enough to say that, and so they start dating right away. I will say it is very Insta-like because of the fact that like they're not in love exactly, but they do use the word like a lot. It is very, from that moment, they are in this relationship. But I sort of liked that because they are also very much in high school. They're both first years in high school, which in Japan means they're like sophomores. We do have her birthday in book 1 and his birthday in book 3. So I think they both basically turned 16 in this series. So again, very young, teenage, almost like first relationship sort of stuff. And I just really, really enjoyed it. I liked the fact that they jumped into it right away. They talk a lot about what each other is thinking and they want to know more about each other, so the communication is actually really, really there. And usually I like shoujo manga that has a little bit more like pining and stuff, and we still get that even though they're in that relationship. So I just have really, really been enjoying this. The one thing I will say, obviously, is book 2, I gave it 4 stars versus the other ones, which I loved, basically. This does have them in the relationship, and I did like those parts. However, it also focuses more on his younger sister, who is 1 year younger than him, and I do not like her. She's very sort of bully-esque, mean girl energy, and I just sort of felt like it was unnecessary, like it was there to cause drama, but at the same time, I don't need the drama. Like, these ones don't really have drama, and I loved them. So, like, I guess I'll be interested to see if she shows up more in the series. She's not in volume 3, but yeah, I did not really like her personally. And so out of everything, it was still good, but because she was in it so much, I did have to knock it down a star. But otherwise, yeah, very much into this one. Really, really enjoyed it. And so, like I said, about 2 hours down, started a little bit late today. We're gonna pick up another one. I think I'm gonna move into Night of the Ice? Night on the Ice? Night of the Ice, right here, by Yayoi Ogawa, because the other one, Rainbow Days, is going to be more high school sort of stuff. So I think I just want to change the pace up a little bit. We're going to read this one next. And then I did want to mention, part of the reason I've been focusing more on manga is because it's easier and quicker to read, obviously. I just read 3 of them. But we've been moving the kids' stuff around in our house, so I haven't had as much time to read other books. So this is the room that used to be the playroom, and it is now officially Elliot's room. These are the 2 toddler beds that she had and Presley had previously, like in our room. She has her little kitchen she got for her birthday, but so this is now officially Elliot's room with all her stuffed animals. She calls them her family. And then just down the hallway, this used to be Leon's office. This is now Presley's room. He has some puzzles. He now has a TV in here as well. They don't use the TVs in here very often, just in general, even in the playroom, but just in case we need to like set them up with a movie while I do stuff. But yeah, puzzles. And he has now a new stand for all his Legos, which are mostly Minecraft Legos. And he pretty much does these by himself. But yeah, he is super excited. That's a painting that he painted. It is Minecraft, obviously. He is super excited to have this. My kids were always like co-sleepers with us, and then eventually when we moved here, we got the toddler beds, and they would sleep in their bed, and then they would end up coming into our bed too. And it got to a point where Presley was like, I do not want to sleep in the small bed. He only wanted to sleep in our bed because big beds are comfier. I mean, who can blame him? So once Yaya and Nai left, this was our guest room / my husband's office. He's now in their big bed that we had for the guest room. It does technically pull out into a queen. We're not doing that. He doesn't need that big of a bed, obviously. But now every night they go to sleep in their own rooms. They do still end up in our room. Last night, Elliot came in at like 1. Presley came in after that. We actually don't remember. But like the other night, he was in his room until about 5:45. The night before that, he was only in his room until about 10:30. But that gives us more space. That gives them more space. So now that we've been doing this since the weekend, it's Wednesday now. We've officially, I think, been done with it today. We were still moving some stuff around and organizing yesterday. We're done with that. I now have more time to do books, which is part of the reason I want to get a head start on this manga stuff. Because I do want to hit 30 volumes of manga at least this month, but instead of trying to focus on 1 volume of manga a day, I need to get some other books done. So 3 down, hopefully 6 more to go. I have to get ready to pick up Presley in about an hour and 15 minutes. So hopefully I can knock out at least a couple more volumes of manga. Okay, we are slowly walking over to Presley's school because it's almost time to pick him up. I got 1 volume in on Night of the Ice. I know I didn't really update in the middle of the other ones, but we have to go to Presley's school. And I'm giving it like 3.5. I can talk about it more in a little while when we come back, but it took a little bit longer to read than the other series. And it's just like a little bit misogynistic, a little bit sexual harassment-y, and the characters are not quite where I would like them. It does have some figure skating stuff, but it's like the guy who's famous for it has a childhood best friend who is the girl in this book, and I guess he's sort of like an otaku, like a nerd, because he likes a magical girl anime from way back in the day, and she, I guess, performs the spell for him before every competition, and then he can land quadruple whatevers. So she has a work thing that she has to do instead, and so he can't land them anymore. And that's basically all we got to. I'm curious, I'm gonna read more, but also my computer that's been in multiple times, we had to call Geek Squad today and be like, hey, what's going on with that? Because we were supposed to have them have it for like only 1 more day, which would have been yesterday. And they said, oh, well, somebody was supposed to call you. It's done. So I think we're gonna have to go get that today too, which means less time to read. But yeah. And just like that, it's actually the next morning. We did go and pick up my computer at Best Buy right after we picked up Presley from school. It is officially back and done. They said it took like 3 people to figure out what was going on with it, and they didn't have to like reinstall anything, I guess. It was more like some sort of weird setting in the system, which apparently a few people didn't know how to get to, and I never would have gotten there either. So I'm glad to have that back. But by the time we got that back and came back home, it was dinner time. And right now during dinner time, I'm also watching like one episode of Resident Alien every night with my mom, and so we did that, and then it was time to get the kids ready for bed, and then we put them to bed. The good thing is they get to sleep in their own rooms now. They do still come into our room, but it's like in the middle of the night. Like Elliot came into our bed around 1 a.m. Presley didn't come into our bed until 6:30 in the morning, which is great. And then we still sleep until about 7:30. So I did get to finish reading Night of the Ice in bed last night. So I told you guys a little bit about this one in passing because I knew it was probably going to take me a little while to like come back and actually talk about stuff. I think I mentioned I gave this 3.5 stars. I ended up giving volume 2 and volume 3 4 stars. They are low 4s, but it's definitely better than the 3.5. And I'm curious about this one. Again, this one looks like it has 9 volumes total. So I do think this is one that I'm going to continue reading through my library. I don't know if it's something that I'm ever going to want to actually own, like the previous series. I was really, really into that one. But it definitely feels a little bit like a product of its time. I want to say, according to the copyright here in book 1, it was originally in Japanese in 2013. It didn't come out in English until 2020. But like I said, there's a little bit of sort of like misogynist attitudes, a little bit of like sexual harassment-y vibes. Like there's a manager of our main guy who is very like overtly sexual in a way. Like she keeps calling him a virgin and then saying like he can't have a girlfriend, which she thinks that like he is really into like the other girl that we have in here and vice versa. And like we don't really have like a really good buildup of romance. So like, you know, whatever. But instead of being like, okay, you can do this, or no, you can't date, or whatever it is, she doesn't want him to have sex for whatever reason in this. And so she talks about how like, if you really want to, you can just touch my boobs. And like she puts his hands on her boobs. And it's just like one of those things where I'm just like, that would not fly in this day and age with workplace things. Like I'm just like, there's things like that in here where I'm just like, like I said, I am curious. So basically he is like the next sort of big Japanese ice skater. And in volume 1, he has a like sort of like bad time with it because our main female character is not there for him. And so this is a lot of like them trying to figure out how to balance her job and being his friend and doing this whole like spell on him from an anime that he really, really liked as a kid. And again, I'm curious, but I'm not seeing a ton of development character relationship wise as I would like. Like it just sort of feels a little bit surface level. And so for that, I'm just like, it's okay. I do like that our main female character of Chitose, I should probably like, you know, give her a name, does seem to have some sort of chronic illness that she's had for a while. And so I'm very curious to see how that's going to play into the stuff in here because they mention it, especially in book 1, but a couple times in these ones as well. So like there are things that I want to see. I want to see where this is going to go. And because it's only a 9-book series, it's not something that feels too daunting, you know what I mean? So again, not my favorite, very curious, want to read more, but I don't think it's something I want to own. And then, like I said, it is the next day, and I only read 6 volumes, but it's now Thursday because I didn't get my computer back until almost dinner time last night. I did not have a chance to edit anything and put a video out. So this video, I think I'm just going to move it until Saturday, obviously. So I do think what I'm going to do next is pick up Rainbow Days. I also got a late start yesterday just because of getting Presley to school and everything, so I actually didn't start reading until noon. It's 10. I should be able to finish these before noon today. And so this is not exactly a like how much manga can I read in one day anymore. It's how much manga can I read in 24 hours. If I can finish these in the next couple hours, I actually will be officially over 30 volumes of manga because we started at 22. So this is actually number 29, 30, and 31. That would be great. I would love to get over my 30 volumes of manga so that I can start reading maybe some more novels for a little while. I do have a couple other manga series that I wanted to finish before the end of the month, but I do feel like maybe this will give me like a little bit of like, I can take it at my own pace. So 3 more volumes, Rainbow Days. This is going to be some sort of shoujo manga about friends. Like, I don't know much about it. I've had this recommended to me before, like on this channel. So very curious about it, and we're gonna jump on in. Okay, it's been almost an hour. This one took me longer to read than some of the other ones, and I think it's because it's longer. Like, this is over 200 pages, whereas manga is usually like a little under 200 pages. I only read this one. I did not like it, like at all. I can already just tell you, like, I'm not gonna read these. My expectations were completely different than what this is. Like, it's from Shoujo Beat. It does say it's rated for older teens, and it's about these like 4 boys, and it talks about like who they are. And it says, you know, we have Natsuki, who is a dreamer who longs for love. That is true. All of these characters are going to be very cliche, very over the top for who they are as characters. I'm just going to specify that. So he is basically with his very first girlfriend and doesn't want to introduce her to these other boys because he's not sure that they're going to judge her and things like that. And he is very pure and naive. And he has this like really expensive watch that he wears because his older sister gave it to him, and it turns out that like this girl is a gold digger. This is very early in the story. And so like he's just very naive about stuff. He wants like the typical shoujo romance, like very like cutesy, and you know, things are meant to be, it's fate. And so like there's that. I didn't mind him too much. We also have Tomoya, who is a self-centered playboy. That's what it says on here. Again, at the beginning of the story, he has 5 girlfriends, and he talks about how he is the horniest of all their friends. And I'm just, he's not the worst character in here, but again, like, it's just like the way that they're doing it. These are all kids, technically, first years in high school, which again, in Japan is going to be sophomore year. So they're going to be like 15 going on 16 type of things. And I'm just, no, like, no, that's his whole point. His whole point is to want girls and tons of girls and sort of objectify them a little bit. Then we also have Keiichi, a winsome guy with a hidden saucy streak. There is nothing hidden about this guy whatsoever. I should probably tell you. So this is our Natsuki. This is Tomoya. This is Keiichi. Nothing hidden. He is like BDSM, has whips, that he like just carries around, talks to one of his girls at the beginning of the story and wants her to call him master and shit like that. And I'm just like, everything that comes out of his mouth is related to that. There's nothing hidden about him whatsoever. I hated it. I hated it. And then the last person we have is Tsuyoshi, who is a socially awkward nerd who loves anime, manga, and games. That's him. He wasn't in this story as much. He was out sick near the beginning of the story. That's pretty much what he is. I'm sure they're gonna go into more of stuff later. Like, he actually was probably the only one that seemed sort of normal. Like, he wasn't actually over the top. I can't. None of the characters are ones that I want to know more about. I'm sorry for anybody who does love this, because I'm pretty sure, like I said, this was recommended to me. I can't remember in what context. No, thank you. Yeah, I am gonna give this a 2. I was debating if it was like a 2, 2.5. I forced myself to finish this volume. Because I actually, literally the first time that something happened that I did not like was page 3. That's when our first guy gets a call from his girlfriend who calls him master, and they talk about stuff like that. Page 3, I could have DNF'd right there. I did finish this volume. I will not be reading anymore. And so, what a way to end the video. I picked the best one first, apparently. I really did like Ima Koi. I will definitely continue with that one, and I probably want to own it. Again, with Night of the Ice, I'm very curious about it. I will probably read more. We'll see how it goes. Again, there are little things in there that rub me the wrong way as well, but it feels more like sign of its times, like when this first was coming out, like in the middle of 2010s, where things like that were in books and media and things a little bit just more like it was more acceptable to see that. And so yeah, Rainbow Days, I will not be doing that. Now I'm curious, did I pick this up in the teens? I think it was in the YA section of my library. That is very, very sad. I personally, like, it says it's for older teens, and I guess, yeah, but like, oh my God, no. No. Okay. Yeah, I wish that would have gone a little bit better. So I'm actually at 29 volumes of manga, which is fine. I do still have a couple other series that I'm currently in the middle of that I want to finish this month, or at least read some more in this month. So that'll be fine. But I do, like I said, also have a couple other book things that I need to read, which is why I wanted to see how much we could actually finish. And so I guess I read 7 volumes of manga in less than 24 hours, which is pretty darn good. So if you guys like this video, give it a thumbs up to let me know. Subscribe to this channel if you'd like to see more videos. I do have videos coming out Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, so I will see you then. Bye!